I want to share a story with you today about a belief and a fear that I used to have that I no longer have, so that you can get a better idea of how easily we can form beliefs throughout our lifetime, no matter how reasonable or unreasonable they may sound now. So, for instance, when I was a child, when I was in elementary school, I used to believe every male with facial hair was going to kidnap me. Yes, you heard that right. I used to believe that at my core, that any man that I saw with facial hair was a kidnapper and a threat to my safety. And let me tell you how I formed that belief as a child. So one day I was sitting in school, and over the PA system, I remember somebody coming on and sharing with the entire school that there was a dangerous man who had a beard and a mustache and drove a blue station wagon who was kidnapping kids or, trying to convince kids to get in his car, and to kids be on alert for that. Okay, so that was instance number one. Follow that by going out into the playground, whether it be that day or later in the week, and going to our normal playground spot for recess. And as we're playing, I noticed a blue station wagon in the parking lot where we played for recess, where it was blocked off. In this blue station wagon, I also saw boxes of what I perceived to be children's clothes, all stacked up. And then I saw a gentleman approach the supervisor that was watching us. This gentleman had facial hair, and he asked the supervisor, "Hey, if you need a break, I'd love to watch the kids for you." And in that moment, I remember feeling extreme terror. I thought my life was in danger. I thought everyone else's life was in danger. I remember screaming no, running to the front of the school building, pounding on the door, begging them to let me in because I was terrified of this person on the playground. Now, what we came to learn, what I felt was weeks later, but probably was the same day, was actually a parent of a couple of the students in our school, and whether those were clothes or not, he was taking them to donations, okay? But at the time, I didn't know this. All I had to go with was what was announced to be aware of and what was dangerous, to what I saw, to running into the building feeling terrified. And what happened was, this belief stayed with me. I carried this to when I was in a store and we were checking out. I saw someone with facial hair and whom I thought had a gun because they had facial hair and were a man, I thought they were dangerous. So I panicked, and I remember having this moment of panic. And looking back, yes, all of that seems unreasonable. As an adult, in my conscious mind, I get it. Jackie, that doesn't make any sense. And at the time, that was my reality. That's what I understood. That was my perception based on the information that I heard and I processed, and then I applied it to every male with facial hair. So much so that my parents had to prime me for when we were going to family events, from what I remember, that some of my uncles who I hadn't seen in a long time had facial hair, so I wouldn't be afraid of them. It got that bad. And eventually, through working it through with my parents and learning that that person in the parking lot was somebody's parent, and really getting that, understanding and that reframe, I was able to release that limiting belief of every man with facial hair is going to kidnap me, and that fear, There were two things there. There was a belief that was holding me back from trusting any man with a beard, and a fear. Those were together. Now, imagine if, 30 plus some years later, I still carried that. Imagine if I was still fearful of any male with facial hair, Imagine I know you're like, okay, that sounds a little ridiculous, Jackie, and hear me out. If I carried that belief, if I hadn't released it, what could it keep me from? It could keep me so scared that maybe I wouldn't leave my house. It could keep me so scared it wouldn't get me in business conversations. It could keep me so scared that maybe I wouldn't have dated anyone with facial hair. If my husband grows a beard, I'd be terrified of him, I hear it, we hear it, it sounds silly, and yet that's what limiting beliefs and fears do. They prevent us from moving forward. They keep us feeling stuck. And these limiting beliefs, I gave a very specific, kind of almost silly as an adult example. And yeah, think about that if you have kids. Things that we do, things that we say, environments that they're around, what they're hearing, what we hear on the news, what we see on social media, simply can cause these types of beliefs that quickly in our head. Now here's the great thing. We have the control and the power to change the beliefs that we no longer want to have. We have the control and the power to release the fear so that we can move forward. And often these limiting beliefs and these fears go so much deeper than the example I had shared with you, right? These beliefs of I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't deserve it, I'm not worthy. Now, I gave you this example of a belief of I was afraid of men with facial hair. I thought they already kidnapped me. But now you think dig deeper at your core. If I'm carrying on, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, wow. If I'm holding on to that belief, if I think that's my reality, what am I keeping myself from doing? What opportunities am I missing because I'm holding on to that? So I challenge you today, think about what did you believe? First of all, prove to yourself. What did you used to believe about either yourself or just something in general that you no longer believe? I know you'll find something. So I want you to do that first. Think about something that you used to believe that's no longer true. Proof right there that you can change it, just like I've changed mine. Now I want you to think about a belief that you have currently that's keeping you from moving forward. And I want you to reframe it. I want you to reach out to me. I want to help you release that limiting belief or that fear so that you can continue to move forward. Think about that today. Reach out to me for any release work or any questions that you'd like to do on that, and get out there and take action.